pretty much everything we've touched on for Switch 2 has been music to my ears. Like, we're getting a ton of third-party games, despite Nintendo's gag order saying you can't talk about them coming to Switch 2 until we do. The Switch 2 looks to be a beautiful system. I don't care about the negative noise. I think it is the exact step Nintendo needs to take. But there's something I want to address today that is getting, like, people excited, and it shouldn't. This is the one part of Nintendo Switch 2 that I want to pump the brakes on, because you absolutely should expect the Nintendo Switch 2 to cost $400 or more. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing fantastic out there today. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this channel as we move from generation to generation. But this generation ain't gonna come cheap. Look, it sucks to say, and of course, all of us would like a free Switch 2 to show up on our doorsteps, but the Switch 2 is not gonna be under $400. There have been 2 leaks lately that have popped up and have people excited that the Switch 2 actually is going to be cheaper. And I've seen people covering it, and I just really want to put my own stamp and foot down and say, like, you should not believe anything that has under $400 as the price for Switch 2. First off, right when the Switch 2 was announced, some people took a picture of this Best Buy search result where it showed the Switch 2 at $349. This is just an issue of it actually being the Switch OLED that they're displaying, but people search for Switch 2, so it's like popping up Switch 2 because that's the closest thing. That one's kind of a smaller one, but the bigger one is that yesterday, an Italian website posted pre-orders for their system, and this got a ton of coverage because the pre-order price was $364.99 over there in euros. Now, this is gamesandmovies.it, and they put this up so that you could grab it if you're over there in Europe, and it translates to $379. And places like comicbook.com said to this end, the price would suggest a $350 USD price point, as consoles are usually cheaper in the US compared to other regions given the size and importance of the market. However, it could signal a $400 price point, but this is less likely. Now, this is where it all has to stop, okay? We're going to do some simple math here, and I'm going to show you exactly why this makes literally no sense, and then we'll talk about why, outside of the math, it still makes no sense. Mathematically, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Switch launched at $300 in March of 2017, which as of December 2024 would equal $388.36. Similarly, the Switch OLED launched in October of 2021 at $350, which as of December 2024 is equivalent to $399.37. So you're telling me that the Switch 2 is going to be cheaper than both the Switch 1 or the Switch OLED when you calculate for inflation. It's going to be their cheapest console of the era. Come on now. They're really going to make this thing cheaper. And I know games continue to get more expensive and nobody should be championing a higher price. I'm just trying to be very direct with you and very honest with you. Nintendo is not lowering the price of their system. The Switch OLED still costs $350 and has seen very few sales. So you're telling me Nintendo is going to come in with their brand new system that we know is significantly more powerful than their last system, that we know is going to play a significant more amount of franchises and games from big publishers, that has significantly improved Joy-Con, significantly improved kickstand, significantly improved many things that make the Switch, and it's going to have a new Mario Kart at launch, it's going to have a new 3D Mario, and it's just the new system from Nintendo, and it's going to be less. It's going to be $400 or maybe even $450. And honestly, if I were you, I would start preparing for $450 and then be very happy if it's $429 or $399. There's no way at all that this system costs $350 or anywhere around that price point. It's going to be a $400 console. Look, Nintendo is no fool. They know that 4 years ago, they charged you $350 for their OLED. That's a last generation system. They know that they can bump the price and get more out of you, especially because this system is doing much more. It's not just a pretty screen, it's a whole new generation. And look at the competitors' pricing, right? PlayStation 5 is extremely expensive, the PS5 Pro is exorbitantly expensive, and even at $400 or $450, Nintendo is coming in under those other systems. And I think in many Nintendo executives' minds, they feel their system is better because it can do more. It's a portable console and it's a home console, and now it's going to play everything. Why would you charge so much less than your competitors when in your eyes, you've got the best system? And the sales figures tell you you've got the best system. People are ready to spend a lot of money on Nintendo's next console. And even though Nintendo does like to come in with a pretty decent price point, and you could look at the Switch Lite and say, wow, that's $200, so double that for the Switch 2. But yeah, like Nintendo wants to make money off their console, but $400 in 2025 is the same asking price as what they put out for the Switch OLED in 2021, and that was just an iterative step. It wasn't even a new console. That's why I say, hey, if that is equivalent to about $400 right now, I'd expect even more. Because do you think that the Switch 2 should cost the same as what the Switch OLED cost? I don't know that that's reasonable. Is it what we want? Yeah. Would I like for it to be $379 or $399? Absolutely. But I'm thinking more like a $429.99 price point. Now, we do have a rumor that there's going to be a $450 version and then a $500 version with Mario Kart. I feel like that seems to be exorbitant. I don't know that Nintendo wants a $500 anything on the market. And maybe they do end up doing a $400 base price and $450 with Mario Kart. And to me, that would be great. Like, that would be a win for us, because then if you subtract out the price of Mario Kart, you're getting the system for $380 or $390, which then, based on inflation, is a steal over what we paid previously for the Switch OLED and the Switch 1. I just don't think there's any reason to get excited over a listing from an Italian retailer. I don't think, first of all, that they really know what they're talking about. I don't think that this is a leak of Nintendo's doing, like Nintendo set this price and now gamesandmovies.it knows about it and they're leaking it out there. I think they're just making something up that sounds about right. And anybody that's quoting like, oh, $350 is going to be the price of the Switch is just saying nonsense because they don't want to pay $400, which I understand. Like, nobody does, but let's be real and let's set our expectations so that we know on April 2nd when Nintendo announces this price, or maybe we get a more reputable leak earlier, and you see $450, you see $429, you're like, okay. But if you see $400, it feels really good because we were maybe preparing for something a bit higher. Guys and girls, it's just not going to be any lower than $399. I can like guarantee you that. I would bet this room that it's not going to be less than $399.98. And if you find a $399.97 deal somewhere, then that doesn't count. But you know what I mean. It's going to be a $400 console. And outside of all the mathematics, right, this console is honestly earning that price point. It's not iterative in the way that we thought, oh, remember the Switch Pro discussion? That like it was going to be the same Switch but more powerful? The same Joy-Con, the same drift issues, the same form factor, the same stinky SL and SR buttons, no real new features, the same single USB-C port, the same dock. That was going to be a step up, but not a true next-gen step. And that's what we're experiencing here. And if the last console was $350, I think it's only logical that the next console is more. Now, a lot of consoles have cost plenty more than $400 now. If you go back to like the PlayStation 3 when that launched, that was a super expensive console. I don't even want to type in the inflation conversion for that because I bought one at launch and I'm sure it was not really worth it at launch. PS3 eventually became pretty darn cool, but games in general, nobody likes to hear it, but games in general have gone down in price. And so if games end up being $70 on Switch 2, like, yes, that stinks, but it's basically the same or less than what you were paying 10 years ago for a $60 game. And this being Nintendo's next console, their first foray into 4K, and if they're going to support it as efficiently as they've supported this console, I think it's okay to have a high asking price. I don't think the Switch 2 is so significantly inferior to the Xbox Series consoles or the PlayStation 5 to deserve a price point that is like, 50, 60% of its competitors. I think it can battle with them seriously in just about every single way. And if it's coming at a price point that's $100 less, like, I think that's a big win. Do we want to see a $500 Nintendo console? Is the Switch 2 going to be a huge seller at $500? I think just whether it's worth it or not, whether it's that value or not, I think consumers would decide that $500 is quite a bit. I still think Nintendo could sell consoles at $500. I still think they would probably even sell out of their initial shipments. But Nintendo has signaled their goal here. They want to recreate the Switch 1 magic. They want to flood store shelves with these consoles, they want to eliminate scalpers, and they want to build up a huge install base as quickly as they can so that their game software can absolutely carry their profit margins. That's what they've done in the past. That's what worked so well with the Switch. That's what they'll once again do with the Switch 2. Nintendo knows that they can't be too aggressive or greedy with the price point, despite the popularity of their console, because they want to push millions of these. They want the system to be everywhere, and they want everyone to get it. Whether you had a Switch or didn't have a Switch, they want you to be intrigued. And a $400 or $430 price point does that far better than 450 and far, far better than 500. But just don't be fooled by seeing 350 or 370 or 380. There is no way this new Switch 2 costs that low, because again, that would be cheaper than either of their last two console releases. And we know that Nintendo has made a significant investment in a stronger piece of hardware. It's still outdated, yes. It's still not the latest and greatest technology has to offer. But for a Nintendo company that usually does not prioritize power, they're actually putting a little more oomph into power. And I think the price point is going to feel a little more oomph because of that. So, Nintendo Switch 2 fans, Nintendo Switch 2 potential buyers, think about 450 and then be happy if it's anything less. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.